the reasoning behind a shark attack, it's very simple, right? Again, it goes back to this is their biology, and what's interesting is that some people, and I don't know why, I mean, I don't understand why, but some people villainize sharks, right? The dangerous species. And it's weird because it's like what the shark is doing, it is not evil in itself, right? This is not, a shark is nature, right? This is part of the natural world, right? It's horrific, but is it evil? It really cannot be evil. It does not fall into evil. Evil may be a uniquely human concept, right? I mean, do you agree or do you disagree? Like, why would a shark attack be evil? But some people, I mean, I don't believe it is, but some people do kind of put it in that light, right? And what's interesting, the movie Jaws sort of does that a little bit. I mean, because there's a sense of triumph. It's sort of like Chief Brody slaying the dragon in a way, like, and it's almost kind of romantic in a sense, like man overcoming nature in a way. So maybe it's not really an evil thing. By the way, I gotta analyze Jaws soon. That will be a separate thing. That's a very complicated movie in itself. But anyway. But yeah, people wig out over shark attacks. Not only for the terror and the horror part of it, right? But then the reaction to it, in a sense of like, what do we do? There's a lot of crazy responses from both sides. One of the most common and one of the most popular is the call, right? We should kill the sharks, right? We should stop them, right? It's a terrible idea. But that's sort of what's happened with this particular surfer incident. A surfer brought up the idea of the shark call. Haven't enough people died? Shouldn't we protect the beaches and stuff like that? And there's a lot of very deep problems with that idea. Number one, not in priority, but there's no justice to it. It's good luck finding the individual shark that killed your friend, right? I mean, there's a lot of animals in the ocean. It's going to be like finding a needle in a haystack. So it's just slaughter without justice. It doesn't work, right? But number two, and this actually should be more important, the consequences of a shark call are environmentally really, really bad. In the sense that sharks are apex predators, they control everything under them, right? And if they're gone, the things that they're eating explode in population, right? And that sounds like a good idea because, a lot of these things that they're eating are like, game fish, cod, tuna, all that stuff. But it's a really bad idea because those fish will be eating and controlling the populations of things lower than them, right? And the things lower than them will be decimated. And probably the best example would be like crabs and lobsters, right? A lot of sharks like crabs and lobsters. And crabs and lobsters make money, right? Or smaller fish, big fish eat little fish. And a lot of little fish, like any kind of herring, it's just like, that's a moneymaker, right? That's an economy. That's an entire fishing industry. If you introduce a shark call, you're not only killing all the sharks and thinking you're making things better, you are really putting an entire economy at risk, right? You're putting the ecosystem at risk, and that gets into ecosystem morality. But if you want to look at it just practically in brass tacks, you are really hurting your neighbor's economy, basically, right? It's kind of like, oh, a wolf killed my friend, I'm going to burn down the forest. Good job, you killed the wolf, but there's no lumber left. So that's sort of the mentality I have with that. Shark call is a terrible idea. Do not ever do a shark call. It doesn't work, right? Even beach nets. Beach nets work, but there is a huge consequence to them in the sense that they kill things that are not sharks, right? They kill sea turtles, they kill dolphins, and why that's important is that not only it affects the ecosystem, right? And not only is it unjust, but it also affects ecotourism, right? Because sea turtles, dolphins, and sharks, they're all charismatic species. People love to pay money to go swim with them or see them, right? People love to pay money to go to the Great Barrier Reef or, Florida, swim with the manatees, right? And if you have nets, like you're gonna tangle things up that are not sharks, right? You're gonna get the sharks, but you'll be grabbing all these other things that had nothing to do with the shark attack. So a shark call is a very terrible, explosive, radical idea. Never good. It is never good. Don't ever do that, right? I'm saying right again. I'm catching myself this time. I'm also gonna take a little bit of sip. I'm getting worked up again. But kind of calming things down and returning to the biology aspect. I said that white sharks, huge, curious, massive. Another shark attack species, a dangerous species of the fatal four, is tiger sharks. And tiger sharks are likewise huge. This is Galeocerdo cuvier, likewise huge. But what's interesting about tiger sharks is personality-wise, I've heard from other scientists that they're sort of like puppy dogs, right? Pretty gentle. Like they're not what I would call an aggressive species. Tiger sharks have been implicated in some of the most horrifying shark attacks, right? But they're not. I think they're a perfect example of opportunistic feeding, in the sense that they just love to eat everything. They're very, very, very nosy and very curious, and probably the most famous species for having the most varied diet, right? Yeah, suits of armor and license plates, like pigs, cows, trash, like everything you can possibly think of has been found in a tiger shark's belly. And they're very, very similar, I guess, in the white shark in that way. Like huge coastal species, big teeth, and big, very unpicky appetite. Bull sharks, Carcharodontis lucas, the other fatal four species, is similar in that way, but bull sharks are a little bit unique in the sense that they're a smaller size, but they're a little bit, what's the word, bolder, right? I would never call a bull shark aggressive. That's a very complicated reason. Watch the first episode of Sharks and Coffee. I think I broke that down, why I think bull sharks are not aggressive, they're rather bold. But what's interesting about bull sharks is that of all the fatal four species, they're the one in the most proximity to us because they ascend freshwater rivers. This is the infamous Zambezi shark and cub shark and Lake Nicaragua shark. In Australia, it had an interesting name, creek whaler, all the same species. And bull sharks have been the shark attack numbers for bull sharks has been pretty high, but cases like the New Jersey Shore, that's a very, very famous shark attack series in the early 1900s. A lot of shark attacks happened in freshwater or brackish water and were blamed on the white shark. But it really was a bull shark because biologically white sharks cannot go into fresh water. They cannot go into brackish water either. And what's unique about the bull shark in the whole fatal four scheme is that they are more likely to be around us than the other species, right? Because we will interact with white sharks and tiger sharks anytime we summer on the coast, but bull sharks, it's summering on the coast and then also just chilling out in the river or the creek or any kind of like inshore, like, lagoon. And that accessibility, I would say that makes them equally dangerous. So even though the numbers are not as high as a tiger and a white shark, a lot of these cases I think are of mistaken identity, and I think a lot of attacks have gone unreported. A lot of papers from Central America and South Africa, they're not, I should say Central America, not South Africa. I think South Africa is actually pretty well reported, but Central America, especially older papers from the early 1900s, there is quite a legacy with the Lake Nicaragua shark, and there are attacks that have not really been documented. Kind of near where I am in the Chesapeake Bay is never known for shark attacks, but there have been 5 attacks, 5 incidences. 2 have been fatal, and there's only one dangerous species in that area, and that's the bull shark. Very, very rare in the Chesapeake Bay because the Chesapeake Bay is too cool, but and they're a warm water species. But it's happened. Early 1900s, late 1800s, one fatality was in Norfolk. And actually, the Norfolk shark, that might be, it's probably a bull shark. It could be a different species, maybe a dusky, I don't think so. I'll bet money on the bull shark. And then there was another fatal attack in Tangier Island, or Tangier Sound, which it has to be a bull shark. It can't be anything else. So, yeah. But the last species, like bull shark, tiger shark, and white shark, you've definitely heard about these dangerous species before. But the last species is not as popular. It recently kind of climbed in popularity thanks to last year's Shark Week 2016, which that was a fair year. I thought it was okay. Oceanic whitetip, Carcharodontis longimanus. Jacques Cousteau said that this was the most dangerous shark on the planet because what Carcharodontis longimanus is it's a pelagic, it's a coastal pelagic, but mostly like an open ocean predator. And if you know anything about open ocean biology, you know the open ocean is like a desert. There is nothing there. And this shark, the minute it sees a prey item in this vast blue expanse, it will investigate it and go after it. It needs to, because it needs to survive. It might go weeks without any kind of prey item, and if you are filming in the open ocean and are around oceanic white-tip sharks, you have to be very, very, very careful because this is the one that will, no matter what, check you out. The other three sharks, bull sharks, white sharks, tiger sharks, it's kind of come and go. It's some days they're hungry, some days they're not. But oceanic white-tip sharks, what's unique about them and what makes them very, very dangerous is that, well, they're almost always hungry. And then what's interesting about oceanic white-tip sharks and bull sharks, if you compare them, the teeth are very, very similar. They're the largest of their genus. So the genus is Carcharodontis, and it's a very large genus. There's about 30 species of Carcharodontis, but none of them compare to bull sharks and white-tip sharks in terms of proportional teeth size. And it gets back to the fact that the dentition of these two species, tiger sharks and white sharks, it's very unique. Large serrated teeth is not a thing you see in the shark world a lot, right? If you average all the sharks together on the planet, all 512 sharks, you'll get like a 2-foot, 3-foot, cute, deep water species that really would never pose any harm and would probably be scared of you. But what's interesting is that our psychology, I wonder if humans tend to focus on things that are dangerous, that we tend to build a profound sense of interest around things that can kill us, right? Because these are the keys to death, right? These are the gateways into the unknown world beyond or just no existence whatsoever, depending on what you believe. And it's a very, very powerful concept, and I wonder if that's why we have such a strange bias for the dangerous shark species, because the stars of Shark Week are always going to be the white shark and tiger shark and maybe a bull shark, right? But more so white and tiger because they're just huge and scary. But it's interesting to see that transcends to other animals too. Crocodile hunter, Steve Irwin, crocodiles, right? It was marvelous and dazzling, and a lot of it was because of Steve's personality. He was awesome. But, and he handled a wide variety of species too. But the star attraction was always going to be the crocodiles, right? And it might be because, like, on a profound level, it might be because crocodiles pose a risk to life. Like, there's a chance they can end it all, right? Pythons, snakes, venomous snakes, also charismatic animals. Tigers, a lot of people love tigers. Lions, any of the big cats. Also, leopards are really dangerous. Bears, like wolves. Probably the most complicated and infamous experience of humanity and fear of the natural world is with the wolf, which we domesticated and now it's the cute puppy. But folklore, fairy tales, like Red Riding Hood, and it's just, we build these interesting legacies around the dangerous animals, right? We don't devote as much attention to the smaller, harmless animals unless they're cute and they kind of summon our maternal instinct, right? Bunnies, everybody loves bunnies. But not many people like lizards that much, right? Not many people like, I like frogs, I like lizards. Tardigrades, tardigrade's an animal. No one knows what a tardigrade is. Very, very few people know what a tardigrade is. A water bear, right? Water bear is tiny, microscopic, really, really cool, but we have a growing tardigrade culture, but we don't have a massive tardigrade. We don't have tardigrade week. We don't have lizard week. Eagles are really cool. We like eagles, but we have Shark Week. We have Lion King. We have Balto, we have these massive institutions surrounding these predatory animals, like the ones that can kill us. And I might be over obsessing on death. I might be over obsessing on the fatality aspect, because life is more colorful and rich than that. I know this. I understand that. But it is interesting. I think with sharks in particular, the bias is very, very evident because white sharks, tiger sharks, bull sharks, and oceanic whitetips get the most airtime. Maybe not the oceanic whitetip, but like the other three get a lot of airtime. Proportionally, most of Shark Week, over half of Shark Week is gonna have these guys. If you Google the word shark, you're gonna see one of them in like the first row of images, right? It's always gonna be white shark, tiger shark, bull shark. But that creates a bias of what the word shark means. Shark means all 512 species. And again, the archetypical shark, if you average all them together, it would be a medium-sized animal. So, is fear or paranoia or the acknowledgement of death the core source of that bias? Is it the core reason why we associate sharks with shark attack? On the deeper level, right? Because the minute you think of shark, what do you think of? You think of blood in the water. You think of teeth, right? Say right again. I mean, culturally, the minute the word shark comes to mind, it's these things. It's probably more complicated than that. I don't want to oversimplify anything because other people have built and played upon this fear. Before Jaws, sharks really weren't extremely well known. They've had a reputation for being man-eaters, because again, there's an over focus on the Fatal Four. But after Jaws, it's really exploded into this revenge killing kind of thing. Danger, 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 this very exploitative phenomenon. And shark attacks in the media have also, I believe, become exploitative. And this is for a couple of reasons. I think organically, it's because they're so rare. If shark attacks happened every single day, then we probably wouldn't hear about it. We'd be sick of hearing about it, and it wouldn't sell. But us, and again, the selling point that cynically that is something to consider, right? Shark attack is sensational. Shark attack is something that is like, oh wow, and everyone will click on it. They want to know the details. It's kind of sick in a way how that's evolved, where it is clickbait. It is something that sells. It's a story that's fascinating. But does that stem, again, from our deeper paranoia? Does that stem from our deeper fear? Very powerful concept, shark attack. It's a very powerful dynamic, and again, very complicated to talk about. I'm doing a much better job right now than I was doing yesterday because these points are strange to acknowledge, and the strangest and most disturbing thing to acknowledge when it comes to shark attack is that it is the key to oblivion. It is the end, right? I mean, like not always, but the times that it's fatal, it is the end. And what's interesting, everybody keeps talking about coconuts and refrigerators and all that crap, and I get that. Statistically, you're more likely to die from a coconut and a fridge and a bee, but the shark, unlike the coconut, fridge, and bee, commands terror. Coconut, fridge, and bee do not command terror. Maybe bees. Bees are a little terrifying. But it's interesting, like death from a coconut, death from a fridge, or a vending machine, I think it's a vending machine, and death from a bee, they all are horrific. It's very, very graphic. But death from a shark, that's maybe the only one that's terrifying. Because terror is the anxiety of the unknown. It's the paranoia of something lurking beyond your grasp. It is it's the thing that isn't understood. And the situation of a shark attack, of being in the water, in the foreign medium, not predicting, you do not know what's in the water around you, and the vast ocean is beyond, and any second, it could be that day that something comes, enters your sphere of existence, and brings it to a close. Very, very, very powerful concept. And what's interesting in acknowledgement of that, I don't like it when people bring up the coconuts and the vending machines and the bees, because I think we belittle the tragedy of the incident, and I think we sort of distance ourselves from the fact that, again, this is a human life. Now, a lot of other things happen. I mean, obviously, coconuts, bees, fridges, horrible, horrible tragedy. And it's also the end of existence, so that should also carry equal weight. But I think maybe when we bring up stats like that, or even just dismiss the incident of shark attack as like very, very rare, maybe we sort of dehumanize the situation a little bit. Maybe we just fail to acknowledge the gravity, or rather the power of that concept. And it also could be with our day and age where we have a 24-hour news cycle which is unprecedented, and you're barraged by negative things every day, and maybe we became organically desensitized to it, to the point where someone can comment apes in the water, right? But it's interesting. It's a very, very, very tricky concept, and I think I'm going to leave it there. I would like to hear your thoughts, and what did this kind of spur within you? Like, how do you feel about shark attack, and how do you feel about the reactions of these modern shark attacks, or shark attacks that have happened in the past? What do you think are fair reactions, and what do you think are not fair reactions? And most importantly, which reactions make you angry, and which ones really are ones that you think are misguided? Because this is a very interesting topic to talk about, and especially since our culture has gone back and forth with we became this weird revenge. We had this revenge mentality after Jaws, which is wrong. But then I think we've sort of nurtured this taken for granted mentality where we forget how powerful and respectful, or how much respect these four species deserve, in the sense that they are capable of doing this. And we have people free diving with them and walking with bull sharks and sort of assuming that the world is theirs, and not, in a way, I feel like that's disrespectful. So I think we've gone back and forth between these two extremes. So I would love to hear your comments. Please leave comments below in the video, and also please send me an email. Go to www.drjaws.net, click on contact, and submit your query in the forum below. I would love to hear your thoughts.